Hello there and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the community experts about their life journeys and how they came into the community world. And today we have a conversation with Rosie Sherry, a mother of 5 kids, a big unschooling fan, a Rosie Land and Village owner, and a founder of the Minister of Testing. So, hello Rosie.
Hello, Yuri. Thanks for having me.
Where is your love of rainbows from?
Oh, yeah, good question. Let's start with the rainbows. Um, to be honest, like the rainbows started with Rosieland. I never used them before I started Rosieland, but like the logo of Rosieland, the idea behind it was the concept behind it was Rosieland is a word that I've used for many years, just like personally, as this place that I go off in my head. I go into the clouds, my dream world, just imagining the things I want to do, the things I aspire to, all of that kind of stuff. So the first iteration of the Rosieland logo was like Rosieland and just a cloud. But then I asked the designer that I work with, is like, oh, can you add this? Can you add that? So we went with like weather themes. So I've actually got varying logos of Rosieland with different weather themes, and one of them is the rainbow. The other ones are like snowflakes and rain and thunder. But the rainbow is the one that people see and love the most, and I love it as well. People are like, oh, what's that? It's like, what's that rainbow on the logo? And yeah, I just went with it. And I think like also part of it is just like I have kids as well, so I kind of like being playful with things, and I have 2 young girls and they love rainbows. So I kind of interconnect the Rosieland logo with my home life, I guess, and we have fun with that. And my girls have rainbow bed sheets, rainbow pillows. So it's just become a fun thing as well. Generally speaking, that rainbows are fun. We look for them. We have fun with them in work and in family.
You've made so many tweets and posts of rainbow. I've even never seen those kinds that you've tweeted. So what was the most amazing rainbow you've ever seen?
I tweeted one the other day that was most definitely not my photo, but the Facebook algorithm now automatically shows me rainbow photos. I think it's detected that I like them, so sometimes it just like appears in my feed, and when I see them, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. The same with Twitter, I think. But yeah, I posted one the other day, just like a rainbow reflection, like a massive wide rainbow, and a reflection on I think a river or something like that. But another one that I discovered recently as well was I discovered it through Twitter, but it really makes it's obvious in hindsight, but I only discovered very recently that rainbows are actually circles. And there
Yeah.
was a tweet going around, showing how rainbows are circles, and it's obvious when you see it, but it's like the rainbows stop because visually, like things get in the way, so you don't see the full circle. And I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool, like circles. And
Yeah.
then it just reminds me of like flywheels and things like that. And these are all the things I talk about. So it's like, it's I guess I look for these ways to connect the dots and to relate them to my work as well. I think like in my community work, I'll definitely be tapping into rainbows as using the visual rainbow as a flywheel, way to show the flywheels that I talk about. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so many connections. I see. Wow, it's just cool. So let's start from the beginning. So tell me a little about your parents. Who are they?
Yeah. Okay. Who are they? My parents. My dad passed away about 15 years ago. He was Irish. My mum's still around. She's Colombian. So at the moment, she actually lives close by to me. Um, so yeah, Irish Colombian roots, I guess, but born in the UK. So I've had three passports over my life. Like I could have a Irish one, I could have a Colombian one, and I could have a British one. So with Brexit, I think it's actually quite useful tapping into my Irish roots. So I think I need to go back and renew my Irish passport and maybe get some for my kids. Um, but yeah, I mean, like my parents, they traveled when they were younger, and that's kind of like how they met. And my dad used to work in London in some marketing, Italian marketing type job. So yeah, but Battersea, if you know London, it's fairly central, fairly well known. But I moved away when I was 9 from the UK, and yeah, my parents liked to travel, and we often travelled, mostly kind of. They enjoyed Indonesia, so like we lived there for a few years, but a lot of our travel was really between the UK and our family, like in Colombia.
Do you have a big family in Colombia?
Well, my mom has. She comes from a family of 10 children.
Wow.
So I have lots of aunts and uncles. I have. I don't know how many cousins. I've lost track of how many cousins. Probably like 25 cousins, something like that. Directly for me is that I have one brother and one sister. But yeah, it's nice to have dispersed family as well, because like some of them ended up moving to the US. One of them's in the UK. So it's nice to have family all around.
Do you meet sometime all together, like super big family meeting?
To be honest, no, not me. I'm probably not as connected to my family these days. I think just being very busy, just like growing my own family, it becomes hard to prioritize that. I used to go back to Colombia like every couple of years, but I kind of stopped that. Probably, I think the last time I went was actually for my dad's funeral, which was like 15 years ago.
Yeah. Do you like to travel?
No. I traveled a lot as a kid, and I don't know if that put me off or what, but it's just like, so I lived in the UK, then I lived in Indonesia, then I lived in Colombia, and I just wanted to come back to the UK when I was 18, so I came back, and I've had no desire to travel after that. I don't know if like I just travel too much or I just lost the enthusiasm. It just doesn't interest me. I'm really just like happy being at home, appreciating what's around me, and actually like with 5 kids myself, actually like traveling is not relaxing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it gets very expensive very quickly. So sometimes I feel like I should travel a bit more for my kids, let them to help them explore things. But at the same time, I think, well, I don't want that pressure just to do things for the sake of my kids. And with COVID and all of that recently as well, I think actually we kind of don't appreciate what's on our doorstep. And I think we just got so much locally, so many good things locally that we can find adventures like 1, 2, 3 hours away from us by car,
Yeah.
rather than feeling like pressured to travel. And on top of that, it's just like I think a lot about the environment and all of those things, and I just like I don't feel good traveling unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So I'd rather try to live a simple life.
Cool. You have 5 children, so it's Aaron, Ben, Cody, Eloise. Am I correct? Eloise?
Eloise.
Eloise, Piper. So do you have pets? Of course, except for the tiger Piper played with.
No pets, no pets. I think kids is enough for me.
Had your children asked for pets?
Occasionally, but not seriously. Sometimes we talk about getting a dog, but yeah, I don't. I think like the idea is nice, but like when it comes to taking responsibility, no one really wants to take responsibility. So I think we're better off without pets, to be honest.
Yeah, I really understand you. I have only one kid, but I have 2 dogs, and my kid promised me that he will take care of them, but you can guess who takes care. So, okay, it's just amazing for me that you have 5 kids. It's like, wow. So how did you decide to have 5?
Honestly, like it was never the original plan. I think it's like I didn't, get married and like think, oh, I want 5 kids. There's an age gap between my second and my third. So there's he's 17 and the other one's 11. So there's a 6 year age gap. And to be honest, like at the beginning, I thought like we'll just have 2 kids. It's fine. 2 kids is plenty. I'm very happy with 2 kids. But then I was just like, oh, one more. Let's have one more, and then one more, and one more. And then before you know it, we're at 5 kids. If part of me feels like, oh, it's a stupid thing to do, which it is, because it's like a lot of work. Obviously, no regrets or anything like that, but I don't know. I just like I feel connected to my family, more connected to them than I feel with anyone else. And I like the idea of having a nice family, hopefully.
Yeah.
Having a good life, creating a different life for them as well, as much as possible. But yeah, I can't. I guess I struggle to explain why 5 kids. I don't know. I just like tell my husband that I want another child because I feel impulsed. But yeah, definitely no more kids now. But very happy with what we have.
Oh, it's a really nice story behind. And you post a lot about reckless mother. So tell me about you being a reckless mother and what does it mean to your kids?
Yeah, reckless mother. So how's the best way to explain it? Reckless mother is I guess I like to live differently, or I struggle to live how people tell me that I need to live. And I think like, for example, like we unschool, so we don't send our kids to school. We did send our 2 older ones for a while, but in time we were just like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel it didn't feel like the right thing to do. So we've been homeschooling for about 10 years now. So that's like one example of how I don't feel comfortable to adhere to society's expectations. And as part of, I guess, homeschooling, we go out with the kids, we do stuff, and I guess like the reckless mother thing came from One time I had dropped off my son at a football class that he does, and I had my youngest Piper with me. I believe it was Piper, um, in a buggy. Um, and I go running in a buggy as a way to, or I used to go running with a buggy as a way to get exercise because otherwise it's very hard to find the time. I like to be very efficient with my time, so I drop my son off at football. I go for a run in the buggy. I kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
But this time it was because I live by the sea. It was a bit windy, and there were waves crashing up against the shores. And I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is great for a photo opportunity to take a picture of the buggy and take a picture of the waves crashing nearby. Completely safe." But then, like that the weekend that followed, someone messaged me and said, I think this is you. This is you because I've posted photos in the past, and there was this picture of me in not very good newspaper, a very gossipy type newspaper, the Daily Mail, saying like how I was reckless, how this mother was taking selfies next to dangerous waves, and there was a child right there in danger. But basically, like someone had taken a photo of me from a cliff top of being reckless, and they branded me reckless. And I was like, at first I was worried. I was like, oh my God. But they didn't know who I was. They hadn't named me, but I was worried because like I homeschool my kids. Is someone going to pick up on this and like make a bigger deal about it than it actually is? And I guess like what ended up happening was I created a brand around it. I created a logo around it, and I basically tried to embrace the media trying to tarnish basically a woman just trying to get exercise, trying to manage in life, and I took ownership of it, and I branded myself Reckless Mother. I have a logo. I have just a simple one-page website around it, just like kind of giving a definition to what a reckless mother is. But like initially, part of it was fear, but then it's like taking that fear and like embracing it and just kind of telling society to leave me alone. I'm just doing my thing. You have no idea who I am. Some guy or some person has made money off taking a photo of me and creating a fake story around it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, go away. So yeah, and that was like 4 years ago, I think, that happened. And yeah, I guess like I use it as an example. I laugh about it now, but the reality is, even though the outcome wasn't bad, but this is like what women have to put up with. We're trying to juggle many things, and people come out and try to put you down. And for me, luckily, it didn't have a negative impact, but for many people, it does. And I think that's not a good thing for society. And I guess like creating the Reckless Mother brand was my way of like pushing back and just saying, this is me. I can turn this into something that shows that actually the media is often wrong about how they portray people.
Do you connect other reckless mothers?
I'd love to create a community around it one day. I keep meaning to. It's on my to-do list, but not yet. I mean, I've got a website, just a one-pager. I've got an Instagram account for it, but there's a few followers there, and I get lots of love for it. But I've not done anything like super tangible. But I think I'd love to. I think it'd be nice to bring mothers together to support each other, but I'm not quite sure I have a strong enough proposition yet to create something around it.
I don't know why, but I thought that you've done like 100 meetings already. So,
I've got
so
stickers and badges, but yeah, it's just, again, it's just life, right? Things get in the way. You have to
yeah.
prioritize. Do I do Reckless Mother or do I do Rosie Land? And Rosie Land always comes up as like a priority for me at the moment.
Okay, so let's move to yourself. You told that you traveled a lot when you were a child. And tell me a little more about your childhood. What was different and similar compared to your kids' childhood?
Different and similar. Similar, we both have crazy parents, I guess. Parents doing things differently. I guess my parents, always sought out to do things their own way, frustratingly often from my perspective. But yeah, I guess like we learn from our parents, and I think like doing things differently is definitely like trying to stay put in one place and trying to I guess focus. It always goes back to community for me, but trying to focus on like staying in one place and building up relationships and having that security. I don't know, like if like traveling so much, I don't know if it's created insecurity in me, but it's more like I guess like I feel like I missed out on having that stability and perhaps like when you move around, especially like 20 plus years ago, 30 years ago, it's you make friends, but then you lose them because you move away, and I guess I always found that a bit tough. Like always trying to make new friends, and yeah, I guess I just got tired of it. So it's like doing things differently this time around. I'm just like like I said, I'm not interested in traveling. I'm quite happy staying where we are. We've just done up our house. This is like our house for life. Got very happy like where we are and just trying to stick to that. And I guess like differently is just like having that stability. I think that's what it comes back down to. Is like my parents didn't have the stability from moving around, and like financially as well. It got messy, and and I guess like I'm like I don't want any of that. So everything I do is about having stability,
Yeah.
and I guess trying to be as financially secure as we can.
Once I had this crazy feeling when my parents put me to another school, and the first day in the new school, I was like staying and crying near the window. Have you ever had some kind of stories when you lost like connection with a good friend of yours due to this traveling?
I remember leaving the UK. I'm missing out on a party, and I was gutted. It's like a friend's party, and we were like going away, and I was just like so upset. I said I want to go to that party, and I couldn't go, and like, yeah, I guess it's like it's those little stupid things. They sound stupid, but like that's what sticks in your mind.
Yeah.
I don't know like how my parents would remember it. I don't know, but yeah, I guess it's those things that just like having the few little friends that you have and then getting torn away from them is just like this is hard, and then trying to make friends again is hard. So that's definitely what sticks in my mind is like, why are you pulling me away from the things that that you love? And as a child, these are the things that you love. And I think I definitely think about that with my kids, like my girls, and especially Eloise, who just wants to make friends and have friends over. And if I was to get up and move away, it would be very hard to restart that restart that again. So I guess I feel that in my heart. So I try to avoid that happening to my kids.
Yeah. Uh, do your kids make friends easy?
It's actually quite hard as homeschool parents. It's quite hard. And we have like neurodiversity in our family. So actually like the social aspect is a bit harder. So like my 11-year-old, he doesn't like groups. He likes having one-to-one connections. And he's perfectly fine, like, if it's like one-to-one, but like when it's a group, it gets overwhelming. So and I guess like being homeschooling, a lot of other families don't really understand that, and they question us, or it's like it's hard. I don't think people realize that, like, it's I guess it's similar to being like an indie founder. It's like you go down your own path, you make your own living, you make your own money, you make your own rules, you make your own way of working, and that's often very different from like working at a company. And it's the same with kids and school. Is like or unschooling in school is like we make our own rules, we find what works for us, and then parents or kids at school, they don't understand why we do certain things, or why we're so chilled about other things, or why we don't make our kids write if they don't want to write, or why we don't force them to read. They're like, what's going on? How can you live like that? So sometimes it's hard to find the fit between like the kids and the way we are, and like my Eloise has been trying out school part-time, a local Waldorf school, and she's actually said, I don't like it, I hate it. All the kids, they don't listen to the teacher, and they're all misbehaving, and I don't understand why. And the kids are not very nice. Sometimes they're mean to each other, and I don't understand why. And this is I guess the reality of like our situation is that like we focus very much on what we feel is right. We don't. We try our best not to have like situations in our life that cause stress. So anything that we don't like, we're like, we don't have time for this. We can remove this because this is the way we've designed our life. Whereas people who go to school, they can't remove the things within the school system. They have to put up with that. Whereas for us, we're like, we don't have to. And if it's going to cause us stress or unhappiness in any kind of way, we have that choice to remove that if we think that's what's right for us. And for some people, that's like too much to understand and comprehend. So to I guess going back to the question is like, do they make friends easily? It's like in the right situation, they make friends, but it takes more effort from a parenting perspective to put them in environments to help them to make those friends. And I guess that to me is probably like the hardest part of like home education and unschooling is like you don't have that automatic system of support to put your kids into. You have to create every help them create every relationship, and that's hard. It's
Yeah.
I wish it was easier, but at the moment there's no ecosystem. There's no strong ecosystem to make that easier. I think, or I hope in time it will become easier, but at the moment it's very hard to create those relationships, I guess, and not just like occasionally meet up with people, but like to build relationships, you have to do it time and time again, have regular conversations. and that's just hard in the current homeschooling environment.
And you know what I understand, to make your own rules, it's hard. It's really hard. So have you always made your own rules, or it was some point in your life where when you started doing it?
Have I always made my own rules? I think I was forced into making my own rules, to some extent. I mean, like some people stick within the system and just accept the rules forever, and they find their way around in the system. Um, I don't know what it is. I think there's just like I guess there's a part of me that I can't mentally I can't live with rules that I don't feel are right. So I'm very much driven by my ethics, by what I believe is right. If something is out of alignment, it I guess it like really drags me down. I guess mentally and physically as well, as like having to um, live in a system and you have to do certain things. I just struggle. I guess I just struggle with that, and so I'm always. I guess like over the years, I've tried to find different ways to cope with that, and it's like coping with like working for someone else. It didn't work for me years back for many reasons. Part of it was having kids. As a mother, working in tech, it's super hard to find a job, especially going back like 50, almost 20 years now since I had my first child. It's really hard to back then it was really hard to find an employer that would support you with kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's gotten better, but it's just like, when you're put in that situation, when you're applying for jobs, or whether it's like people like push you back because you're a mother, or they think you shouldn't have certain opportunities. There comes a point where you're like, well, what's the point of me even trying? Yeah. I might as well form my own path and just do my own things. And me getting into community was all off my own back. It's like no one's going to give me a job to build communities. I'm just going to create my own job. I'm going to create my own communities and find a way through that, right? If I had waited for someone to give me a job, I never would have started. Yeah. So it's like, I guess like it all goes back to is that I just do what I want to do, and I find my way. And I know that if I don't do it, then it just impacts me in such a negative way for my health that, yeah, I guess, and also like on top of it, like just like kind of being like married or having like a life partner from a fairly early age. So I was 24 when I had my first child. But I've been with my husband since I was 19, and like we've always like supported each other all the way through. So like having that I wouldn't say to fall onto, but it's like we've always backed each other up. And we've found our ways to make it work as a team. Sometimes like him working, sometimes me working, sometimes me working on his business, sometimes him working on my business. We just find our ways. So it's like, he's definitely been like the kind of backbone support for me to help me do the things and to go along. Like the homeschooling thing was my idea. It's like, oh, let's homeschool our kids, and he kind of, he accepts it and goes along with it, but not because very much he wants to do it, but a lot of the stuff is very much driven by, I want to do this, but I can't do it alone, so I need your support, and so we find ways to do it together.
Recently, you've made a post. It was a photo, like 19 years married. So were you the cause of Graham joining Facebook?
Say that again, the last bit.
Uh, did you make Graham join Facebook?
He, yes, kind of. He definitely didn't. He's not a. He's not a social person. He's, he resisted for many years. I can't remember when he joined, but it was definitely, he took his time joining. He's very much a lurker, I would say. He lurks on Facebook. He lurks on Twitter sometimes and Instagram. He doesn't post too much, but he does lurk. He does pay attention to things. But yeah, I'm definitely the one who kind of signs up to all these things first, and he's like, he can't be bothered.
How did you meet Graham?
We met in Brighton. So I moved down to Brighton when I was 18, 19. I left Colombia when I was 18. I came to the UK on my own, and basically with nothing, and I just tried to find my own way. So I got a job at a local bank, kind of working behind the scenes, doing admin type stuff. And I had to find a place to live. And in the UK, it's quite common for younger people to have house shares, room shares, not room shares, house shares. And we were basically housemates. So I moved into a house, and he had just moved in a few months earlier. And he was at the time working at a bar, but also studying at university. Photography he was studying. But yeah, that's how we met. And then like probably about a year after, or 18 months after, we kind of moved out and we got our own flat together. Yeah, I guess I was like, I don't know, 21 at the time.
What do you love the most about Graham?
What do I love the most? I love that he accepts me for who I am, and he supports me, and he puts up with all the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing picture I saw, and there were a post. I bought a new laundry basket, and my husband doesn't see a problem with this picture with the clothes near the laundry basket. So what are more fun stuff that piss you off sometime?
Oh, good question. I don't know what to answer to that. Yeah, I don't know. What's fun that annoys me? I think like I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. Pass. Pass. I'm gonna have to pass on that.
Let's move to another question. You wrote that parenthood, founder, community building, all jobs that require putting others people's needs first. How do you care about and how do you fulfill your needs?
Yeah, good question. I'm not very well. I guess it's easy for me to say that I'm not very good at that, but I think I am as well. I put my needs first by trying to be as efficient as possible with putting my needs first. So like, with the buggy running, I find ways to, squeeze in my needs. I don't know, like if I have a bad relationship with being efficient, but I'm always trying to be efficient. I'm always trying to if I can kind of do two things at once and save time, then I'll do that. I'm not very good at switching off. I know I need to do better on that, but yeah, I guess like 5 kids over 19 years. The youngest one is 4, so I haven't had much of a break. actually, literally, this past week, my husband has taken 3 of my kids away, the girls and my eldest. So that's been really nice. And part of that was to give me a break, to let me sleep and get that extra sleep. And so I think I need to do more of that. It's just like find opportunities to relax and to chill. But also at the same time, it's like I think what is giving us a break, right? And the fact that like we design our life very intentionally. Some people might see spending their time with their kids as not having a break, but actually, for me, it's like I work a bit and then I spend time with my kids. To me, that's a break, right? It doesn't have to feel like work all the time, even though it is constant. To me, it's very fulfilling. It's the things that I want in my life. So even though like I like being efficient and I like the idea of like doing stuff and not just like sitting still. Like I struggle just like sitting still. It's like I get bored, right? I really get bored. So like for me, like I need to be doing things. It makes me happy to be doing things. And that to me is like, I guess almost like amazing to be able to live like that. Is like, it's not what society thinks is a break, because they look at me and they think, oh, she's always busy, she's always tweeting, she's always writing, she's always with her kids. How does she do that? But actually, it's like, how amazing is that I can do that, and like I don't have, this system and the society telling me how to do things. They don't see like the fact that we don't have to do school runs. We don't have to spend 2 hours of our morning every day preparing our kids to go to school, and all the stress that's involved with that, and all the stress that's involved with like staying on top of the school administration work and like things that go on at school. It's like all of those things take time. And like we tried school out part-time with 2 of our kids recently, and the amount of emails and admin that we got, we were just like, oh my God, why is this so complicated? Just to go on a school trip somewhere is like, 1,000 emails going out, and this needs to happen and that needs to happen, and it's just like that to me is stressful. And I just replace that with things that align better with who I am.
I totally understand you, because when I sit still, I have a headache. So like it's crazy. Once you've posted a beautiful photo of sunrise, but you wrote that not very productive day. So what is a productive day for you?
Productive day. Productive day at the moment is me doing stuff. I think sometimes I procrastinate a lot, and it doesn't feel very productive, or sometimes there's like a lot of distractions that get in the way. So I think productive for me is doing stuff, feeling like I'm doing stuff. If I'm not doing stuff, then I don't feel productive. I can't remember what specifically that photo was about, but I guess like I feel good when I ship things, and when I do things, or when I cook a meal, when I cook a nice healthy meal. That feels productive. When I go on a walk, that feels productive. When I do exercise, that feels productive. If I don't do that, it doesn't feel productive. And not all my days are productive. But yeah, it's, I guess, doing stuff makes me feel good. It motivates me to like see myself like moving forward little by little.
Do you plan your day the day before?
No. No. I look at my calendar on the morning and I remind myself, oh shit, this is all the stuff that I'm signed up to. But yeah, I guess like I don't have much on my calendar these days intentionally. I've I've tweeted about that a little bit recently. I'm just trying to not plan things in. I've kind of been a bit burnt out recently, so I'm just like, I'm, like taking each day as I go, and kind of deciding on the day what are my energy levels like, and what am I going to ship, what am I going to do. But yeah, I've been enjoying not having a lot on my calendar. But yeah, I don't even look at my calendar until the morning. Yeah, and then I frantically prepare for things. If I have to prepare for any of the meetings that I do have, I'm like, oh, I have to do this. So
Once you shared a photo of a wooden knife, and you wrote that been wanting one for ages but couldn't mentally justify the price. Tell me more about it.
oh, there's so many nice things in the world that I'd love to buy. That I struggle to justify the cost of. And this was just like this is a wooden kid's knife, like a safe kid's knife to like cut fruit, soft things. But a lot of the things that I like are kind of expensive and I guess ethical, sustainably sourced, and I just find it hard to spend money, if I'm honest. To the extent now that my husband, he says, he keeps reminding me it's okay to spend money. It's okay. You can spend that. And like buying clothes for my girls, every time I buy clothes for my girls, I like to buy like organic clothes, but they're more expensive.
Yeah.
And I struggle every time to do it, but like my husband's always encouraged me. He's like, it's okay. You can buy it. And like they are more expensive, but they last. They last a long time. All the clothes last a long time. So I think really that it turns out cheaper because every time we buy cheap clothes, they don't last. And even though they're like half the price, it's like they barely last, right? Whereas like all the clothes I buy my girls, they last like 2-3 years at least. But yeah, I struggle to spend money. I don't like spending money. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't value things highly as well as like possessions. I don't have a lot of possessions. I don't have many clothes. And actually my goal is to have as few clothes as possible. And just, yeah, it doesn't, physical things, I prefer to have a few small good things that I use consistently rather than spending money. But I think, part of that does go back to like in my younger years, like in my teens, like my parents didn't have money. So I'm sure there's like some connection between their lack of money or the lack of management of money and how that impacts how I make decisions. But yeah, I mean, like throughout my whole career, I've never overpaid myself. Ministry of Testing, building up that business, like I never overpaid myself. I always chose to save money rather than being too greedy. And I think it's a good way to live. It's like, I guess, I think generally speaking, people spend too much money and they don't think about the future enough. And I think overall we've done, as a family, we've done all right financially, and maybe that's part of it is like I'm frugal, my husband's frugal, but yeah, I don't know.
Name one thing that you still cannot mentally justify.
A new car. I would never buy a new car. I'm trying to justify a new desk there's a desk that I've seen that I want, and I'm trying to justify it. It's a I've started well, because we moved into our new house recently.
Yeah.
There's this idea of floor-based living, so very little furniture, like you sit on the floor instead of having chairs. So I'm trying to design a life for that. So there's this desk that I found that is a seating desk, but it can go up to sitting and standing. And it's the only one out there at the moment that does that. So I'm trying to justify the cost for that, but it's like, I don't know, something like $1,500 probably all in, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Should I not? I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I can totally relate to what you are talking about. Yeah. So, what makes your heart melt?
My kids all the time. I think the love that the kids can give you, the like unconditional love, the hugs in the morning, the things that they say, especially my girls. I don't know, there's something about girls that makes them extra cute, I guess. Or maybe it's just my girls. I don't know. They say some amazing things. Even my 11-year-old, he said to me a while back, I was like, I said to him, I'm just a bit tired at the moment. So just like, I'm just having a break. And then he looked at me and said, Mom, if I was you, I would be really tired too. And he just like, that was his way of saying, I understand. But it was, he's, I guess, like, kids are aware as well. And that's how he was showing that he was aware. It's like, of course you're tired, Mom. You're like constantly running about, doing things, attending. And that was nice. So that's like having people around you, your kids even, that understand you. It's nice. It's comforting.
Do you ask your kids to help you sometime?
Yeah, all the time. We have a rule, a general rule, where the older kids always have to help out the younger kids. So like even my 7-year-old helps out our 4-year-old, our 11-year-old helps out our 7-year-old. Teenagers help out with the younger ones. So yeah, they do different things. They don't all do the same things. I think like being like, I guess like a neurodiverse family, we have to like consider how our kids operate, and they all operate at different levels. So it's about trying to tap into who they are and not asking them to do stuff that would actually stress them out. So what my eldest, for example, he doesn't help with the younger kids, but my 17-year-old does a lot. He does like an hour a day of babysitting, but my eldest doesn't do that. He does other things to help out in the house. He might do the gardening, or he might help moving stuff. And yeah, I guess that's how we operate. We try to find things for them to help out with, because I think it's important as well. And actually, like my eldest cooks a lot, and that's one way he helps out, is that he cooks. So that's, it's finding the things that are actually helpful as well. And like, if he can cook, then that's helpful for us as a family, because then I don't have to cook, right?
Yeah. Is there a thing that nobody wants to do?
Nobody wants to do the washing up or the laundry. Yeah.
I see. Are you a football fan?
No.
Because I saw this post, "Go Colombia, go England." So I was imagining you like sitting in the stadium, like, "Go Colombia, go England."
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, I've watched the World Cup. I think that's probably the only thing that I kind of tune into. And I think that, being half Colombian and being, British, I guess, um, it's like them playing together. It's an interesting. It's like, who do you support, right? So it's a bit of fun. But like, if you, I don't know the players these days and any of the teams. I don't know. But yeah.
You told already a little about ethics, and there was a post like running a business with ethics hurts sometimes. Often it means we make less money because we want to do certain things. Can you make an example of something you haven't done, even though you could make good money?
Yeah. Like Ministry of Testing, as a community, that also ran conferences. We'd have people coming to us all the time saying, we want to sponsor, we want to advertise, and they would try to lay down their terms of the sponsorship. So in the early days, which isn't as common now, but was definitely common then, it was just like companies would expect to get email addresses of attendees as part of sponsoring. They would expect to have a booth for sponsoring, stuff like that. One of the big things at the time was like a lot of companies would only sponsor if they got like a sales, if they were able to give a talk on stage, which would essentially become a sales pitch. And so we said no to all those things. Like, you can't get the attendees data, you can't have a sales pitch. We're actually not doing exhibition booths. So it's like we cut out all the things that we didn't like about sponsorship, and that hurts because then like companies are like, well, we're not going to sponsor them. It's like, we tried to offer them alternative things, but it wasn't giving them the things that they wanted. But to us, it felt like the right thing to do, and that hurts financially because you turn away money, and sometimes it's a lot of money, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, like, people notice. So longer term, I think, I don't think we've necessarily lost out. We just end up attracting the right kind of people, and actually, all the decisions we've made that were ethical, I believe, have become trends anyways. But we're just doing them before other people are doing them, and that's what hurts. Is like when you do things for the right reasons, when you're trying to do good business and create, a business with good values and systems and processes. I think, like, most of the things that we've done as a business have become the standard way of doing business, or if they're not quite there yet, they will become, I think, in a few years' time. How, the way to do business, but other companies will benefit better from it because, they'll just jump in and start doing it perhaps without understanding the why. But like, it's the people who lead the way that often don't like benefit financially from it, and it just makes it harder, right? It makes it harder to make progress sometimes, but. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I think it would, taking money for something that I didn't feel was right would actually have a more negative impact on me as a person and the business. So for me, it's it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Once you wrote, "I'm such an introvert and I run conferences." Does it exhaust you?
Yes. That's why I don't do many conferences, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like Ministry of Testing, like one of the reasons, like, no, it wasn't the main reason, but definitely like it was going in a direction that I didn't feel able to support it. So it was like, we started out with one conference a year and it became perhaps 2 conferences a year in the UK. But then we started doing them in other countries, and it was at that point where I was like, I actually don't want to or can't support these conferences in other countries. It's too much for me. I don't actually want to travel. Like I said, I don't like traveling.
Yeah.
And, part of me thinks, well, maybe I should have just said no to those opportunities. But I think that's easier in hindsight. But yeah, it's tiring, which is why these days, to be honest, I don't go out a lot. Obviously, COVID hasn't allowed that, but I love just being at home doing stuff virtually. And I rarely did public speaking before COVID. I'm quite comfortable doing it online, but like doing it virtually, doing it in real life is tiring. And actually, I did a talk in London in May for a one-day conference. I did like a 20-minute talk, and I spent the day at the conference, and it took me like 2 days to get over that experience. I was just like exhausted for the 2 days after that. And it's challenging, right? Because like I think like both as the conference organizers and conference speakers, like the more I mention this to other people, the more other people say, actually, I get totally burnt out from those situations as well. And then it becomes a thing of, well, actually speaking at a conference, you almost have to allocate a week to not only like prepare the talk, but to also like recover from it as well. So it's like a week's worth of work just to go to conference and do one talk. Obviously not for everyone, but like the more we understand how a lot of people function, and I think a lot of neurodiverse people function like this actually, is that they easily get overwhelmed and tired out from being overstimulated. And that definitely might be part of the equation for me as well.
What is the most challenging part for you being a speaker?
Well, I never did it before because, like, with ministerial testing, even though I enjoyed testing, I never felt motivated to talk about testing. But when I got into community, I was quite happy I'm generally just like happy and confident to talk about community, but I never had that with testing. So I think a lot of people struggle with conference talking conferences because they're probably not confident enough in the topic that they're talking about. They're not passionate enough. They're not sure what they're talking about. But like, if they can find that thing that they get excited about, at least for me, it's definitely been a lot easier. And practice has come into play with that. So, like, I remember doing like my first podcast. Like, Indie Hackers wasn't my first podcast, but it was probably my first big podcast. And I just remember being like really, really nervous doing that. But now it's just like, I'll show up to anything with very, very little prep, and I'll be happy just to talk. But like me 2 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. So I think a lot of it is practice and being truly like excited about what you're talking about. But when it comes to like in real life conferences, to be honest, I just don't like getting up on stage. I don't like people looking at me. I don't like, I still don't like all of that. But it becomes easier when I did the talk in May. I think it becomes easier when people come to you afterwards and they give you positive feedback. And I had that in May, and that was just like, okay, that's nice. I'm helping people are valuing what I'm saying. Like one person said, oh, that was the most amazing talk I've heard in a long time. You must have practiced that a lot. So it's just like, hearing things like that, it's it reinforces the I guess it helps me come back to speaking, like if you get that good feedback.
You've recently made an article with the title "Preparing for a Life That Doesn't Rely on Social Media." Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I love social media, but like I hate it as well. Um, I try. I guess like I try my best to use it to my advantage, but people know. I think everyone knows. It's like social media doesn't work to your advantage as an individual. The goals change all the time, and I think I just I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I want to form this habit of I write on my platform first, and then I write somewhere else. At the moment, I don't quite have that balance. But for example, instead of like going to Twitter and tweeting something, to me, I'd rather go to Rosieland and write something really short and then tweet it. Or if it's something personal, then I'll go to my personal website, write something, and then post it on Twitter. So for me, it's about getting into that habit so that I have all the data in one place, in a place that I know I can find later, and that I can go back to. And then, I just think we're too over reliant on social media, and we should invest in ways to not be reliant on them, and to find. I think some of it is to find happiness and I guess satisfaction in the things that we are putting out there, and to see value in the fact that you can show up on your own website and write stuff, and you don't have to shout about it. You don't have to get the likes. You don't have to get the comments. It's the value of just like showing up and writing something and knowing it's there, for your own personal sake more than anything. And I just think like this addiction to like, likes and all of that, the dopamine, I don't think is healthy, and we should find happiness in just showing up and writing something. And I think we've lost that, and that's why like not a lot of people blog these days. But I think blogging is as a habit is super powerful.
What is the hardest part for you between writing to a social media and writing to your blog post, to a blog?
I think it's breaking the habit more than anything. Like I have this habit of, I've got this idea, I'm gonna spend a minute or two or 5 minutes and tweet it, rather than doing it on my blog. And I think like, because like I've already invested this time over the years on doing it on social, just building up that habit is hard to do it on your own website, and building up that feedback loop. But I trust it will come in time, I guess. But yeah, I think it's, it goes back to that habit and like having everything on your phone. So really like I should have a system within me to write stuff on my blog from my phone. That's what I need, really.
Yeah. Once I saw a photo of you and with daffodils, and you wrote, "The run where I picked some daffodils for Eloise. She will love them." Do you like flowers?
No, not really. But Eloise does. She adores flowers. So I like to please my girl.
What is her favorite flower?
Oh, all of them. All of them. Just like I don't know if she has a favorite. She's just like anytime she sees a flower, she loves checking them out, inspecting them, and yeah.
Do you
Definitely not like me.
do you print your photos and stock them in some photo albums?
No.
Have you ever thought about it?
Yes. I'm just too lazy. It becomes a huge effort because you're like, then you have to find them, you have to filter them. It's like, I have done it in the past. I have done like a couple of photo books or some like Instagram style pictures that we have printed, but not definitely not consistently. Um, I guess it's one of those things that would be nice to spend the time doing, but I just don't.
When you are making a photo, are you doing one photo or like 10 photos to choose one best?
10 or 20. Yeah. And that's part of what makes it hard, right? It's like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's not just taking the photos, it's reviewing them, it's editing them a bit, it's maybe cropping them, or it becomes a big job, especially when you got 5 kids and you're trying to think of family albums. It's like, oh no.
I just can remember those photo cameras when you can make only one photo and you rely on the amount of I don't remember how it's called in English. The amount of okay, you still have, for example, 20 shots, and you want to make 20 different photos, not one photo. So yeah, nowadays it's much harder when you can do like 100 photos and then to choose with like similar photos what is the best. It's totally the hardest part currently. And how do you rest?
Um, Good question. I sleep. When I'm allowed to sleep, I sleep, yeah. So that's probably the best way that I rest is just like finding time to sleep, having naps or sleeping in. Yeah. Or I guess like the other thing is exercise to me is kind of rest. It's like I guess it's those things that when you're feeling down, when you're not feeling good, it's like exercise for me always fixes that. And I've been better at kind of realizing that over the past few years. So when I'm down, I'm like, right, I'm going for a run, or I'm doing a workout, or I'm going for a walk, and it mostly fixes me. So I think it's super important to remember that. And even like when you don't want to do it, it's like forcing yourself to do it. It's one of those things that I never regret. It's like doing a bit of exercise. I never regret it. And being aware of that, I think, is important.
I wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Yoga or run?
Run.
Are you inspire or doer?
Do it.
What are your favorite color and song?
Oh, color. Maybe black. Maybe it depends color for what, but black. Song. I don't really do music, to be honest. So pass.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
I often refer to Wonder Woman as a superhero for fun, but superpower. Oh my. I get a power to do. That would be nice. Just make people do stuff. Stop procrastinating. Superpower to stop people from procrastinating.
It's a great superpower. I believe a lot of people need this superpower. Name please 2 people whose community life journey you would like to hear about.
Oh, good question. Community. Let me think. on the spot names. Hmm. When it comes to names, that's the thing that I'm slow at. Like, who would be good? And it's not because like people don't inspire me, but I like to like try to think outside of the box. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that. Sorry.
Cool.
I'll probably get back to you like afterwards. I'll be these are the two people that I should have mentioned that I couldn't come up with on the spot. But maybe I'll do that afterwards.
You can record me a voice message and we will just add here.
Yeah.
Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
I think you didn't ask me, but a lot of the questions kind of implied it. But I think like the question would be is like, do you feel different? And I think that's a lot of what my life comes back to, is that I feel different from other people. I go against the grain, but because I feel different. I was like, so maybe like, how do you feel different or something like that? But like I get a lot of compliments around it, saying like they like my work, they like the way I think, they like, just stuff in general. And I don't know if it's because I'm different, but I feel different and I do things differently, and I won't put up with things. So yeah.
Making your own rules, it's always different. So that's exactly what you are doing. And from myself, thank you very much for being different, because I learned a lot from you. And as I told you, you were the first person who I ever met in the English-speaking community world. So thank you very much from my side for what you are doing. And I was super happy to have this conversation with you, to get to know you better, to jump a little into your life, because all I know about you is like mostly about the community, but it was super great conversation. And thank you very much for giving your time. And yeah.
I appreciate it. You're always.
So see you, I don't know, in the Roseland or Rosie Village or on Twitter, on our blog, and see you everywhere. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.